Every home has its anchors, and for me, that is the shelves. It might seem like background furniture, but the choices we make here, what stays, what's visible, shape how we live, how we're defining our approach, what we put on display to our guests in our home, but to ourselves in terms of the things that we reach for when we're bored, when we want to do something, when we want to entertain ourselves, when we want to enrich ourselves. These shelves hold the kind of entertainment that I want to reach for, nourishing who I am, and the type of person that I'm trying to create on a day-to-day basis. My shelves are curated for a slower, intentional, and tangible approach to how I want to spend my free time. In a study, my shelves are geared towards learning, to that enrichment and nourishing of my mind. Some see nonfiction books, particularly in the area of self-development and textbooks, as onerous, as work. I see them as a form of entertainment. I see them as a form of self-development, obviously, but something that I want to reach for when I am bored. Instead of choosing reels on Instagram, I want to be able to reach for something that helps develop who I am and who I want to be. These books invite me into new ideas, keep my curiosity alive, help me grow, and for me, reading is a form of play, quiet, absorbing, endlessly rewarding. Alongside the books are journals and notebooks, each in its own stage. Some finished, some in progress, and others waiting. They remind me that thoughts, big ideas, small ideas, ideas of all kind deserve a place. And that writing is a form of entertainment, of nourishment, that doesn't demand an audience, just time, intentional time. I also dock my phone beside my computer. By keeping the phone out of reach, I make it easier to choose slower forms of entertainment. Reading, writing, listening. The other thing that I have in my study in terms of shelves, alongside the books and the notebooks, analog records or vinyl. This is what I use in terms of listening to my music and how I digest it as an alternative to digital streaming. It's a little clunky and inconvenient and just the way I like it in terms of forcing myself to slow down. This format and framework that I'm providing for myself may seem inconvenient, but that is the point. By going through the habit of choosing step by step on how I want to approach each of these things that are on my shelf, I force myself into a more grounded structure of approach. The living room shelf has become a catch-all, and it changes from season to season. Over time, it looks like this, where it's just a free-for-all in terms of all the various activities and books and things that pile up. And heading into a different season here, I decided it was time to rejig it, clean it up, and focus in on the activities that my family and I choose together. This is our shared space, and I wanted the shelves to reflect that. Not just storage, but an invitation. So I thought carefully about what kind of entertainment we actually want to share as a family. Board games for evenings at the table, the Dungeons and Dragons Essentials, which is something my son has gotten me into and I'm enjoying, waiting for the next adventure, a few coloring books, learning how to read, learning how to write for the kids, and then a shelf dedicated to books for the kids in terms of books that we own and library books, and then a shelf for myself and my wife in terms of, again, books that we own and books that we borrow from the library. While the study focused on nonfiction books, the living room is very much about a blend of nonfiction and fiction books that are perhaps a little bit more frivolous, but entertainment that I would want to reach for instead of turning on Netflix. Some of these books are meant to be passed around, not just kept to myself. And the shelf becomes a filter, reminding me that entertainment, our choices, here isn't just about filling time, but about filling it together. In a family space, the choices matter. A shelf stacked with board games say we can slow down together. A shelf with shared books say we can learn together. A shelf with music says we can listen together. Just as in the study where I have records here in the living room as well. Same idea with respect to digesting the music in an intentional way. These Cadillac shelves hold our records and turntable. These aren't here just for me, they're part of the family space too. Choosing a record is a shared act. Sometimes I pick, sometimes someone else does, but the point is we gather around one sound. Unlike digital playlists, which are infinite and personal, records invite limits. We choose one, and everyone listens. In that way, it's entertainment that asks us to slow down together, to share the joys, perhaps, of what we're listening to, and if something doesn't resonate, we can talk about it. Shelves might look like background pieces to hold the clutter of our lives, but they hold meaning too. They remind us what we keep close, what we keep on display, not just for our guests, but for ourselves. These shelves remind me that curating space is just as important as curating objects. In my free time, I look at the shelves and there are things that I want to reach for. In the study, they reflect personal curiosity, books, journals, records. In the living room, they reflect family choices, games, shared music, stories to pass around. And together, they form more than just storage. They become anchors of an analog lifestyle, a way of resisting distraction, resisting speed, resisting the pull of quick dopamine hits. Instead, they invite learning, creativity, and time spent together. That's why these shelves matter. They help me curate not only objects, but experiences. They remind me that entertainment and nourishing one's mind isn't always about stimulation. It can also be about slowing down, alone or together.